Hi there, welcome back to the Kenny Veach M-Cave mystery. Today, going to be sharing with you the latest news article that's been created in most recent of times. I'm going to analyse and review it today to see if there's any new interesting information, but also look for any misinformation or contradictions, okay? And for anybody else watching who's familiar with this case, feel free to do the same thing. If you pick up on anything odd, out of place, you got any questions regarding the news article, feel free to leave your comments down below under this video. In addition, down below you will find the link, well, a couple, in regards to my channel, so feel free to check them out when you can. And also, top right corner of the screen, I symbol. If you click on that, you'll be able to find some additional videos to catch up on, which you may have missed out in recent time. I've been doing all kinds of coverage recently, so feel free to catch up on it when you do get a moment to. For those that are currently here in this live premiere, welcome, appreciate that. Feel free to share your thoughts in the chat box on the right hand side, and you can also talk about a range of other stuff too, it doesn't matter. In addition to all this, besides that news article, I'm going to be looking back at comments of the last Kenny Veach video that I did. I need to acknowledge some points there by people's reactions, and if there's any questions, I'll try and answer them too. So there's a range of stuff to get through. Also, shout out for last night, King Samoan, for their super chat. Very good of them, much appreciated. Okay, so with that all being said and done, let's get straight into this new article and see what it's all about. The title of this article reads, "The Mystery of YouTuber Who Disappeared After Finding Vibrating Cave Near Area 51. Post at 7 in the morning, Friday, December 15th, 2023. So, pretty recent, right? I mean, what's the last date of an article we read out? Was it June, July of 2023? August time? Possibly. Nothing since. It's gone quiet, which is to be expected because, you know, the Kenny Veach case comes in waves, maybe on TikTok, on YouTube, whilst there'll be some of us that continuously do our research and coverage, whether it be boots on ground or online research and analysis. The official news groups and areas won't be doing it that often. It's just one of those things. But, you know, I guess it puts into perspective that in 2024, you'll probably get more news coverage and in the future, but as for the information, well, that can remain a bit of a mystery to how it's worded. I noticed similarities here then. Also, take in mind, apologies if there is anything missing on the screen. I mean, I did turn it to reader mode because this news article, was it Daily Express, it's the UK version, and there are a horrendous amount of adverts on screen, so that's why I had to put it into reader mode, just in case you're wondering. But do I agree with this title of the article, Mystery of YouTuber? Kenny Veach wasn't exactly a YouTuber as you would think, okay? He had a YouTube channel, he uploaded some videos, but maybe not exactly planned out. It depends at what time you came across him, okay? Maybe if you were a viewer of Kenny's channel, some have claimed, but I don't know how true it is. You know, if you were there since day one before he went missing and you noticed all the other videos, then maybe you could call him a YouTuber, right? But for those that come along now and see his channel, which is pretty empty, it's hard to differentiate, right? But it says disappeared. Well, that's kind of true. After finding a vibrating cave. Well, yeah, near Area 51, incorrect, misinformation. The vibrating cave is not near Area 51, because at least the way Kenny Veach described it and documented in his hike video, the hike Joe May Canyon, Wild Horse Pass, Picture Canyon, that whole hike loop is nowhere near Area 51. Area 51 is more north, many miles ahead. So they're nowhere near each other. This title is misinformation, incorrect, okay? And as well, the pattern what I've noticed for some time is they're making it seem like that because Kenny found the vibrating cave, that's what led to his disappearance. But it's not, is it? It's been supposedly said that Kenny Veach went out there when looking for the vibrating cave. You know, first time round, he actually came across it. Second time round, he could not locate it. Third and final time round, he tried setting back out there to look for it. Was he successful or not? There's no guarantee there. There is evidence that points in a different direction, that he didn't die out in the desert, that he was alive and he kept a low profile but moved on elsewhere to a different place of living, possibly, right? I just think the way the word it here is a bit dodgy. They're making it seem like the first time Kenny Veach went out there and found the cave, that's why he disappeared. He found it and never came back. But as we know, he did return back successfully. But then when he mentioned online about the finding, he was kind of like boosted, advised, and him himself, to prove people wrong, to go back out there and actually record it on camera. But he couldn't locate it. But he did make it back home safely. Then the third time round, that's a mystery. So there's no guarantee that Kenny's disappearance is caused by the vibrating cave or not, because on his third hike out there, it may have seemed unlikely that he came across it if on the second hike he didn't find it. You know? Hopefully that makes sense. I try and make it clear, but maybe sometimes it does drag out a bit. But what else do we have here? The 47-year-old went missing after coming across a hidden cave deep in the Nevada desert. Next bit. Missing man found by bikers in Nevada desert. That must be... Wait, what's this? Right, that must be a completely different article. Anyway, let's move on. It says, on November 10th, 2014, Las Vegas resident and avid hiker Kenny Veach set out on what would be his last expedition. He had undertaken many such walks, mostly in the high and isolated plains of the Nevada desert. Okay. Most part of that seems to check out. He's a hiker over time, doing all kinds of locations and Nevada desert, I guess. I mean, we've seen some photos. I mean, I don't know if this news article is aware of exactly what areas Kenny's hiked in. You know, are they aware that he did Gas Peak in the past and that he went out with his nephew elsewhere? I don't know, but let's just read. Mr. Veach, Kenny Veach, filmed some of his journeys and kept a vlog on YouTube, and in one such video spoke about an eerie experience in which he came across a cave shaped like the letter M. So this is all to do, well, mostly to do with, you know, Kenny's video on YouTube, his most popular one, over 3 million views or 2.2 million views, where he filmed himself going out there looking for the M Cave, Jeremy Canyon, etc., as we've seen several times. But the reason why this is very interesting is because how it's worded here actually implies that Kenny had more than one hike video, right? Let's just read it one more time. It said, Kenny Veach filmed some of his journeys with an S. Journeys, more than one journey, and kept a vlog on YouTube. So basically documenting it all. So he went out on several hikes and he kept a vlog of that footage on his channel. And then it says, and in one of the videos, he talked about the cave. In one. Well, you go on Kenny's channel now, there is only one hike video. So does this article know more than others? Does this article know about the deleted hike footage of Kenny's channel in the past? I mean, at least from witnesses, viewers that have gone on Kenny's channel way back in the past have recorded and remembered seeing other hike videos, other hike footage of Kenny, whether it be in correlation to the M Cave or just his other hikes he's done in his lifetime, right? It was there on his channel, the different videos, but then suddenly they all disappeared. Kind of odd, right? And I'm sure I sensed that too, that back in 2015, really early on when I heard about the case, 1 year after his disappearance, that when I did check his channel out, he did have other hike videos. In what area? I'm not sure, probably the Nevada desert, right? But where did it go? Where did they go? I don't know, was it like 3 to 5 other videos? Maybe. The only reason why it's so interesting is because with time, more and more people come out and say, yeah, I remember it too, right? Individual experiences. And the fact that this news article even touches upon it as well It's kind of unexpected. This is the first time, I would argue and say, that an official news article has worded it as if Kenny had other hike videos, which, from witness reports, he did, but then they were deleted. That's strange, right? After Kenny's disappearance, why would his videos be deleted, except the M Cave hike? Is it because those other hike videos were of the true M Cave location? Or was it revealing another secret? It's very dodgy. Make sure to make a note of that. Moving down. In quotes, it says, I solo hike across mountain tops that most people wouldn't dare go. I've been in more caves than I can count. I play with the rattlesnakes for fun. But this one particular cave was beyond anything I've ever encountered, he said in one video. His final hike was to rediscover that cave, but we'll never know if he did, because that was the last time Mr. Veach was ever seen. Was he really seen, though, on that final day? He was last heard from, okay, because he made contact with the girlfriend at 6 in the morning on the day he went missing, the 10th, just telling the girlfriend that he's going out to hike to confirm that. And that was it. Did anyone see Kenny Veach leaving on the day of the 10th, leaving Las Vegas? Was there any CCTV cameras, I wonder? That's never been touched upon, has it? I mean, what would it prove? Oh, he's driving in that direction to the hike area. Maybe, but look at it this way. You find the clearest CCTV cameras, the ones most furthest out there, closest to the area of where Kenny is supposedly hiking to. You gather that footage if it ever was possible. You look at it. Okay, maybe it confirms Kenny was in the vehicle at the time. Maybe it could confirm if somebody else was in the vehicle with him, or if there was any other vehicles following him, right? And if none of that, it might show, looking through the window, of what he had in his car at the time. What was he taking with him exactly, which has not been recovered to this day. I don't know, maybe a standalone video could be required for that, okay? A map analysis of where are the CCTV cameras? Where are they? How far out? I think that'll be a new video to do. It could be a bit more hands-on that, but I just wanted to let you know about that right now, because I want to know your thoughts of that idea, of that suggestion, and leave your comments down below to add on any details that could help, maybe in making a video like that for the future, right? Anyway, let's move on. His disappearance and the mysterious cave have since sparked a global conspiracy theory frenzy, made all the more intense since Veach was hiking in a part desert close to Area 51. The hike route is nowhere near Area 51. You could argue it's getting near to restricted military land, but not Area 51. Okay? People have suggested that there could be tunnels and entrances which go underground to military bases, to Area 51, maybe. Unfortunately, not enough evidence to come about there. I wouldn't say there's been a frenzy of conspiracies. It's just been a time for discussion and coming up with ideas in general. That's about it there. We'll just move on. It says the classified US Air Force base has long been tipped as the country's extraterrestrial garrison, which allegedly holds all manner of alien spacecraft and life. They talk about Area 51 there. Whilst much of the allegations are rooted in fiction and the explosion in popularity of alien films from the 1950s, it hasn't stopped many from questioning the link between Area 51 and Mr. Veach's disappearance. After initially stumbling across the M-shaped cave, Mr. Veach retold the story in a separate video posted to YouTube in 2014 titled Son of an Area 51 Technician. In it he said, I'm a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me. Is there anything else? Take in mind, some of this stuff we've already seen before, but this is a new article, as I said, because it was posted in 15th of December. No one knows where Mr. Veach ended up after he set out to find the cave again that year. It's a bit I don't know, to say no one knows, how do you know? How do you know that no one knows? What, because no one said anything? Well, that would be misinformation, because once again on my channel, I've documented evidence which could suggest that Kenny Veach has been seen on camera, has been, auditory, an action taken. Okay, put aside CCTV footage if it's not good enough, if it has been debunked. You know, what about the phone call from Kenny's Facebook account? Strange activity. Videos being deleted on his channel, comments being deleted of his elsewhere on other pages. A lot of things disappearing with time, right? Is it all by Kenny? Some of it, removed traces, get forgotten about with time? Possibilities, right? Anyway, let's continue reading. It says, hopes were partly raised after Red Rock Search and Rescue Commander Dave Cummings announced that a search team had found his phone at the time. Now, if Susan Veach is watching right now, if the Red Rock and Rescue Commander is called Dave Cummings, who's the other guy, McVeigh? Is he the current commander, the new commander, or what? Because it's two different names, two different people. I believe that the phone found at the mine was on the 22nd of November, right? As we looked at a previous article. It says in quotes, "We found his cell phone close to a very vertical old mine shaft and we can't find another trail," he told News 3. "It doesn't mean that he's down the mine shaft, but we've tracked him as far as we can. We're having our other crews come in from the search areas." Unfortunately, after the find, little in the way of evidence turned up. The comments section of Mr. Veach's M Cave hike, his last video, is filled with theories on messages Mr. Veach may or may not have been trying to get out during his film. Wait, hold on, what's this about? The comment section of Kenny's M Cave hike video is filled with theories, kind of, on messages Kenny Veach may or may not have been trying to get out during his film. I don't understand that. Does anyone understand that? Trying to get out during his film? No, I don't know. It's weird. What else? One reoccurring comment focuses on a part of the video around the 1540 mark. Ah, so they're actually giving timestamps. Well, that's a first. Interesting. This is interesting, this. Normally they don't do that. 1540. When Kenny Veach said, "The cave I'm looking for is deep and it's dark and it's shaped just like the letter M." I was trying to do it in Kenny's speech pattern, okay? Yeah. What else was there? There are lots of little caves around here and it's about level with the ground, like an area like this. So I really have to keep my eyes peeled because I don't want to pass it. Well, he may have done, right? Then it goes on to say, after this, Mr. Veach pans the camera towards a cave that is shaped like an M and zooms into it and says, "Then there are caves like that. I'm not going up there. There are caves all around." Right. This is very interesting because it's not telling literally the same old regurgitated story. It is adding on with a bit more research based on the findings of others. Now, this article doesn't exactly credit anyone specifically, but let's give credit to Sean Horlacher, okay? Sean Horlacher was the first individual to step up and take on board when Kenny Veach mentioned about a cave I'm looking for, a place like here. Sean Horlacher did a video of it way back in the past. He rewinded it back, he pointed the area out where Kenny did say, and it's on ground level, just like an area like here. And it just so happened to look like a cave that was covered up. Then that's what led in 2019 in Sean Horlacher going out there to hike and going to that spot where Kenny Veach walked past to investigate and to see. When Kenny Veach was saying a place like here, was he actually meaning that was the M Cave and he was dropping hints, but he didn't want to outright say this is the spot because he was forced not to. So that's what Sean did, had a look at it. It was a little bit suspicious the way it visually looked filled in. It got more suspicious with time when other people went by it and it looked like there was a missing rock, and that was later confirmed to be true. Jeff Clark was one of the later ones to have documented it found on the ground. Now, they are heavy rocks. They were supposedly loose, but still firmly in place. So someone manually removed a rock, a heavy one, and that's why it rolled to the ground. Somebody else secretly in the background has been out there ever since 2019 investigating for themselves, but not saying publicly who they are or documenting it. I understand, because you could break laws, but at the same time, it creates more of a mystery, doesn't it? Which to some people is great, and to others it's more of a headache. But I'm interested how it's mentioned here, right? So just to give a bit more context if anyone's confused, at the 15-minute 40-second mark where Kenny says the cave I'm looking for is deep and it's dark, it's just before that named area given by SB Vega's Adventures, Skull Canyon. This is all before Picture Canyon, but it's as if you are on the way down to Picture Canyon. On the right-hand side of the rock wall, Rock Canyon, and Kenny's walking past that prominent M-shaped shallow cave, followed by the other wonky-looking cave, which is shallow, and it's called the Keyhole Cave because it's got a hole in the rock wall at the back, which is a bit suspicious. And then the next cave is the covered up looking M-shaped cave, in which Kenny said, and a place like here. And then when it talks about, Kenny then pans the camera around towards the other cave, which is in parallel, shaped like an M. Well, it's not shaped like an M, the cave itself, but the rock wall on the left-hand side, how it goes up and down, does look like an M, right? What's weird is, I can't fully remember. Do you know that video that I did recently about that cave? The cave Kenny Veach appeared scared of, okay? Where I mentioned he whispered, looks like. Looks like what? We don't know, but that's what Kenny said to himself. And then what else did he say? He said, do it, I'm not going up there. He seemed scared. He turned around, he walked on quickly, moved faster than before. Did he see something? Did it scare him? Was it some kind of M cave? Did it trigger a memory from the past? You get what I'm saying? Something along that lines. It just seemed a bit odd. And I did my analysis. I replayed the video over and over again so you could hear the audio. It just seems coincidental because the video that followed after that is when some of the viewers pointed out saying that they could see an M shape in the rock wall, and in the middle of it just so happened to be the entrance to a cave, a shallow one, from the looks of it at least. And I did that video, accredited viewers, and it was done in recent time. Was it done in December? I think so. Was it done before the 15th or after? I think it might have been before the 15th of December. The reason why I'm saying this is because it's interesting how this article mentions about the cave parallel to the covered up one. How in this article it says that cave that appeared to be another M-shaped one. You know, who else has referred to it as that? It's been mentioned on my channel in recent time. It's making me think, did this article get influenced by my research in recent time? Because it seems to be a bit of a coincidence. It's unfortunate that they've not given credit to my channel for those findings, and as well credit to the viewers, right? It's a shame there, but this is interesting, how it's adding on details specifically about the hike itself. Yeah. Anyway, what does it say at the end? The comments suggest Mr. Veach purposefully filmed the cave he was looking for, but didn't go in because of being warned by something or someone. It's impossible to say why or how Mr. Veach went missing, and the theory suggesting that Area 51 was involved in his disappearance only add to the mystery and hysteria surrounding his case. I wouldn't say it's hysteria. I wouldn't say people are hyperventilating. Some people are just very invested and very interested, just like how you would be with other mysteries and cases, okay? I mean, if doing research and getting really stuck in because you're interested equals being a weirdo, that's very unfortunate, that. But maybe that's what some people think of it. But isn't it weird how it also mentions that comments suggest that Kenny purposely filmed the cave but didn't really point it out because he was being forced not to by the presence of something or someone? Now, yeah, we've talked about that. We've added it into the videos and others have too, and in the comments, right? So this is relevant and kind of recent once again, because it just so happens that in recent time when I did a video recapping the covered up M-shaped cave and the cave opposite to it, which is mentioned here, where Kenny appeared scared of and said, looks like I'm not going up there. I also said that was there a possibility that Kenny was pointing, giving a clue, a prompt to say, this is it. I remember it. It reminds me of stuff, but I'm not going to outright say because I'm not allowed to, but I'll try and drop as many hints as possible so other people who are better off and more safe can come along and maybe look for it. It's interesting. This article, yes, has been done very recently, 15th of December. And the way it's worded, these parts, makes me think they've been watching my videos. I'll be honest with you, after reading that article, besides, the intro to it, the title, it did feel regurgitated like all the previous stuff. But going past that point, it did get more specific. It did hint at possibilities, what we've touched upon previously, and some of which in recent time. It makes me think that this news group, news article, whatever you want to call it, may have done a bit more research compared to others with time. Does it directly link to my recent videos? Well, it kind of suggests that because I just so happen to have made videos before 15th of December, if I'm correct in saying. So there are links, okay? I want to know your thoughts down below though, whether you think the article was interesting or not. And if you want to elaborate, leave your comments down below or in the chat right now, whichever way. More people engaged, the more awareness that can be spread on this case, and it might help generate new ideas and new ways of looking at it. So it's all welcomed, okay? But just to highlight the two key points that stood out to me from that article, the way it was worded, that Kenny vlogged, that Kenny Veach, on his numerous hikes out there, he kept vlogs of it on his channel. And one of the videos was of his M Cave hike. That clearly highlights that Kenny had more than one hike video on his channel. Now, if it was just the news article saying that, and we've never heard about it, you could say, how did they know? Can it be trusted? But the fact that some of us, including me, have witnessed seeing other hike videos on Kenny's channel, which are no longer there. And that news article seems to pick up on it too, but not mentioning about them not longer being there, just that they are there, even though we know they're not there now. It just, I don't know, it's picking up on a point that hasn't really been touched upon before by these official groups, right? Still to this day, when it comes to Kenny's comment, no one else in terms of the official news groups have mentioned about the comment being deleted. Everyone's referred to it as, there it is, that's what Kenny was talking about, but just not enough on it's no longer there, which is a mystery too. But maybe down the line it will be touched upon. And then of course the second key point in that article, what we looked at just then, was when it talked about the cave area and giving a timestamp. Deep, dark, place like here, just happens to be a covered up cave, which Sean Horlacker investigated onwards. So there's references there in a way. And then a cave parallel to the covered up one, the one Kenny's scared of, as I, captioned it, mentioning how I'm not going up there. Did he see something? Just these like little reference points. I don't know, it might just be a coincidence, but the timing of it all and how it's worded, it's different to other articles. I want to know if you can see that too, right? What we are going to do now is, look back at the recent comments from my Kenny Veach video and see if there's any other interesting points of information there. Since we're here, I might as well adjust it to the newest and then we can work our way up. Might not be as many comments this time around, we'll just see what it's all about. So this person called Father Time says, watching from Guam. It's only about, 13:30 time in Las Vegas now, so hopefully a couple of main characters might come on in. Jay Silverheels, Jay Chuck. I don't think that's ever really happened with Silverheels. I think Jay Chuck might have popped in here and there once. I know Jay Chuck has been very active and vocal recently. Maybe I could do a response video to him at some point. I know a viewer in in between has mentioned that the Kenny Veach community, that everyone's tearing themselves apart and having to go at one another. It's not right, it's not good, but I'll try and clear that up in a separate video. I mean, for now, the short story is it has been like that for some time. It is what it is situation. Cleo says, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. We got Keith. Long comment. What does Keith say? He says, my apologies if any of you were offended by my playtime is over comment. I'm an IT project manager as a contractor to the US government with a DoD clearance. And sometimes I say that jokingly to the team to get them to refocus on the task at hand and not worry about things that are perhaps irrelevant to a higher priority issue. Well, that sounds interesting, that. I don't think anyone was offended by your comments. I just think maybe some people disagreed in a natural way. Keith goes on to say, as for the M Cave, pure conjecture. Since Kenny Veach never stated here is the M Cave, though he may have alluded to it, but still no proof. The only real proof is there are caves that may look like an M. As for the sealed off triangle cave, absolutely. But does the act of sealing it off automatically create a cause and effect to a super secret portal to Area 51? Of course not. It could have been sealed off because it contains something hazardous. In my opinion, there is a 0% chance that Kenny Veach or aliens or a Stargate are behind those rocks. Okay. Now, the other thing was, which people have suggested was, like with mine shafts, caves could be filled in to prevent people going into them and getting hurt. So fill them in to prevent people from, going in. I get that. But when it comes to an area like that where not many people go in the first place, I don't think there'd be a reason to seal off the odd cave, right? Because other people would find others and may get hurt. And at least from what we've seen, most of the caves out there are pretty shallow. So why would you need to fill them in the first place, right? But if there's really the only odd one that stands out as a true fill-in, then maybe there's a deeper reason behind it. As to what reason exactly can remain a mystery, but suggestion here by Keith and others like Sean Horlacher that it could be where military dump waste, toxic waste, very dangerous stuff, put it in there, seal it off. Is that a possibility? I mean, it's not a guarantee, but one coincidence is that supposed covered up M cave, which could have stuff, toxic waste buried within it, deep down, let's just say. Radiation being emitted from the cracks and gaps of that supposed cave. When Sean Horlacher investigated it in 2019, he went up close to it. He put his face to it. He looked into the cracks. He was really the only one to do that. And what happened to Sean after, or in a short space of time? He went ill. He got ill. Vomiting, feeling weird, not feeling right. Now, I know people could say, well, it's probably the heat, being out there, hiking, sunstroke, whatever. I do understand that. That is a possibility. But it's just a coincidence how when Sean was more hands-on with that supposed cave compared to any others, he was the one that felt side effects afterwards, shortly after. Is there a link to be made? Maybe. Let's move on. Keith says, as for those that claim to get sick by the cave, sure, why not? But did these same folks that did get sick report this to the local authorities, hazmat, to ensure it wasn't a public health hazard for all folks that may venture there? My guess is no, but maybe they should have. I mean, that's a fair point, yeah. Part of me thinks that some may not report it because they feel it could lead to the area being sealed off or the true mystery being hidden further. If you wanted to put it on that slant. But then again, has there been an urgency to go back to check it for themselves if they did feel sick the first time round? Did it encourage them to go back out? Not really, because they needed requirements. They needed a GoFundMe because they sensed it was a greater task than originally and more dangerous than ever. So, it seems to be factors, limitations. Keith says, as for Kenny Veach 10 years later, lots of YouTubers with boots on ground scouring the landscapes for any sign of Kenny Veach and or his artifacts and still nothing. Though do recall somebody finding the remnants of a tent and concealed sword in a hiking stick, bamboo stick. But who left those? Who knows? True. Now, just to answer your point there, the person that supposedly found the tent and concealed sword was Scott Natal, okay? But as time's gone on, people in the community have accused Scott Natal of faking that scene, which is a bit, sounds dodgy. Anyway, goes on to say, I think the lack of evidence is a big clue as it gets. Even if Kenny Veach's body had decomposed and been scattered by wild animals, his handgun would still remain right where he fell, assuming, of course, he died in the desert, as was suggested by his girlfriend. That's fishy smell returns. Though it's possible his remains have been found and only those with a need to know would be privy to the information. Maybe the LVPD know more than they are willing to divulge. So who knows? Police report. Who knows these days of disinformation? I mean, if something was recovered or found, you thought, as for news articles or official reports or the NAMOS database of Kenny, some of that should have been taken down by now if there was a resolve. Maybe no one needs to know. The general public don't need to be informed about it, but at least taking certain notices down when they have been identified and been retrieved, that should be done at least. Okay, maybe not with much context behind it, but still following through formally, because I guess normally when a person has been found, the missing poster is normally taken down after. Would the same be done here or not? Why would there be a need to make it seem like Kenny is still missing when he's not? And if the police have been involved or any authorities, why have they thought it's okay to leave those posters and databases up online to this day then? Is there a darker, deeper reason? Continue reading. Keith says, as for the faked disappearance, remaining incognito for 10+ years would take a Herculean effort by all, not just Kenny, and probably unrealistic, though maybe his girlfriend said he would be gone for 3 to 5 days, which would have given Kenny Veach time to leave the country, say to Mexico. So Kenny, if you're relaxing on the beach at Cabo and reading these musings, enjoy. Disappearing is not a crime, but tax evasion is. I'm not letting go of this one just yet. Remember, the search and rescue dogs were only able to track Kenny Veach's scent to and from the mineshaft, so maybe he did simply walk up to the mineshaft, drop off his phone, hightailed out of there, and that was Kenny Veach in the break-in video. Still holds water and the puzzle pieces seem to fit, if not with some coercion. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's interesting how the suggestion of Kenny went down to Mexico, I mean, that seems to be the go-to thought when it comes to other cases and missing people. When it came to Dylan Rounds, some saying, Dylan went down to Mexico, that's why you can't find him. When it comes to Kenny Veach, gone down to Mexico, why you can't find him. Why is it always Mexico? Is it because it's just an easier place to access compared to other areas? I wonder. Anyway, what else? As entertaining as all those other theories appear, this theory keeps coming back to me like a bad cold. Someone or their henchman iced Kenny Veach, which smells like most fish to me, but which all hope is furthest from the truth. Iced? What do you mean? Is that a form of killing? Right. How many times does this happen in a domestic dispute? Words are spoken, tempers flare, there's an unsecured handgun close by, one person grabs for the gun, the other tries to wrestle it away, and in the ensuing commotion, the handgun accidentally goes off with fatal results. Well, it can happen, I guess. But I've also seen videos of where people play with firearms and they accidentally shoot themselves. What else do we have here? Jeff Clark says, some of my comments are still disappearing, but I will try again. So, just in advance, if anyone else is wondering, Jeff Clark has been silenced by YouTube before. Sean Horlacher has. I've been silenced as well. Whether it be our videos, our statistics, our notifications, people's subscriptions to our channels, or comments, they do disappear. They do spaz out because of YouTube. It's very weird, right? But continuing on with Jeff Clark, saying, I'll try again. No, there are not lots of boots on the ground. That's true. There have been about 15 confirmed private hikers in Pitcher Canyon in almost a decade. Even if you want to say that not everyone would post videos of their hike to such a remote place and double that to 30, that's about 3 hikers a year. That is a vast landscape for so few eyes. Your conclusion that someone killed Kenny doesn't say much for Las Vegas police, as that has never been much of a claim. I doubt the police would simply take the statements from Sharon and close family members without more serious questioning. I put murder low on the list. Alexia says, I like your thoughts, but I don't agree with the murder issue. Fair enough. Responding to Jeff, I read you. You're there, you're right. Few hikers for a vast territory which has almost always been travelled on the same trail. Not all but most have done the Kenny tour, and that's it. The police were not satisfied with Pilgrim's statements in the end, however it seems so. Jeff says, in response, they had no reason to say it was a murder, but they also had very flimsy evidence that it was a suicide. We don't know how hard they pushed the family members and other friends to get to the truth, but whatever they did has never been made public. We do know that they concluded they didn't have enough evidence to charge anyone with anything. If any of the family had made accusations against anyone else that was close to Kenny, there would have been a much deeper investigation, but it seems no accusations were made about anyone. And June says, how about Vicky? Does she have a problem with Kenny? Vicky seems to be emotional in a caring way when it comes to Kenny. I guess hopeful in the early days, saying that he should be okay. You know, he's a successful hiker. You know, it should be okay. You know, when you're hopeful in the early days of a case like that, because you don't want to think the worst outcome, right? You're trying to be as positive as possible. May not always work out. And then with time, people may change in behaviour. People may become a bit more realistic. You could call it this, stages of grief or a stage of something, depending on the situation. But when it comes to Vicky, when it comes to the CCTV footage, when Vicky saw it and through text messages which were shown from Susan Veach when passing the stuff on, Vicky at one point said, oh no, that does look like Kenny Veach. Oh no. And was talking about how if it was found out or acknowledged by police, he could get in trouble and he could get arrested. I don't want that to happen to my father. And then fast forward a bit later, she ended up changing her mind and said, nope, that's not Kenny, and then went radio silent about it, and so did some of her family members. So there seems to be a level of care towards Kenny, a level of care in which they don't want to see Kenny get in any trouble, right? One way of looking at it. So shout out Keith for that comment. It was fairly long, but at the same time, it wasn't that long, maybe because the comment was more interesting. No offence to previous ones, I guess it was just better structured as well. So some fair points mentioned by Keith, okay. Interesting profile picture too. Yeah, okay. Glenn, shout out to Glenn. We got Sunny saying the transitioning to a woman theory. Haha, it's been a while. I wonder if he could possibly still be with Sharon. I think she's still in Vegas. Response-wise, Nancy, interesting. My thinking was the opposite, that he was getting away from Sharon. Susan Veach, sister-in-law to Kenny Veach, says, just a theory, but I think Kenny kicked her to the curb, and that was why she was crying on the HLN documentary. But she wanted the whole world to believe she was crying because Kenny was dead. Okay. So Susan here is saying just a theory. She's not stating it as a fact. She's using keywording, which is good to see. Salted Cracker. Now, looks like a new viewer, not seen them before. I have heard the username mentioned once before in the Dylan Rounds community, and I don't know if that had anything to do with salty pancakes. Some people may have got hysterical, or some people might know more than others, but I'll just simply read this comment out as it is. Salted Cracker says, I enjoy how you stay on cases. I like how you really dig and gather all the information and how we are always informed of what's going on. I think you're doing an incredible job. So I appreciate that. It's good of you to say. So shout out to Salted Cracker. Looks like a new viewer from the looks of it. I've not seen them before. We got Banned with Media says, before they silence me, brought me here. Dude says you have by far the best coverage of the M Cave mystery. Well, I appreciate that. It's good of before they silence me to say that. He mentioned you should cover the Lars Mittank disappearance, saying you'd probably expose too much and that it would likely put you in harm's way. I guess he's referring to the supposed power or connections of Bulgarians to TB, the powers that be. Some people think that Lars Mittank's story was likely a strong inspiration for the movies Hostel and Hostel 2. Whoa. Hostel. The dark rooms, the red rooms. Kind of like the dark web. Oh. Yeah, interesting. Response-wise, there's a link there to the channel. I have checked it out. I won't click on it here just because it'll kick me off the comment section, but noted. What else does he say? Don't worry about the people talking shit. You're one of the realest people who actually have a YouTube channel. You're not like John Levi or AJ from the Y-Files or Conspiracy R Us. You remind me of the guys from the channels Autodidactic and the UAP channel on YouTube. Keep it up, man. You seriously need to tackle the Lars Mittank mystery. Well, I appreciate that. As for the Lars Mittank mystery, I'll try and look into it maybe in the future if I get time. There is the Panama mystery that I need to look at too. I think stuff like that, which could be fresh but also heavy to, I don't know, take note of, it might be best doing in the new year. Catch up with the stuff right now before Christmas and then see where we are there. So Bandwidth Media, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you like the videos. Coyote says, sorry Warlike Raf, sometimes you absorb so many details about a case you can't remember where certain bits of information came from. That's fine. That's understandable. I was wrong about misinformation on your channel. My apologies. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not helpful that some researchers will gatekeep information. Someone should start a Kenny Veach database website where all the official reports and height maps are in one place, where anyone interested in the mystery can go to seek information. I guess it's a fair point, that. Now, Coyote, there was actually a time where someone actually did a Kenny Veach website. Okay? There was a map given, some additional information, some research too, but there was a problem. This kennyveach.com website had all kinds of weird secrets or dark outcomes. Artari researched it herself at the time when she was more connected to the case, that it ended up linking to some younger children or something, and the father was in a high-end position or something. It was a weird, messy situation there, or if it wasn't to do with them, it was to do with someone from Canada with the IP address, but it changed, and some were hinting and suggesting that Kenny Veach went to Canada too. It was a weird website. And some people were pleading for Atari to stop covering that website or to no longer do videos of it or to take down previous videos. I don't know if it happened to me too, but I have documented it on my channel and there's still there, the videos regardless, okay? Weird times. I do genuinely feel that if someone was to create a website and put all the information into one place, what are the chances that the website could be taken down or hacked into? You know, if there's people or someone out there that doesn't want the truth being released or gathered in one place, I think there'd be levels of disruption. For some reason, I think it could get a bit messy. Now, some people have said, why not do a Discord where everyone can gather? Well, if it's anything like the Dylan Rounds case and community, having a Discord is very risky. People can claim to be somebody, but be someone else in disguise, get into the Discord group, leak information out publicly, and also deceive people in the process. It's a tough position to be in, right? Well, so we got Mr. C saying, you're doing well to shed light on logic and on an interesting case. Appreciate that. Alexia says, move forwards and leave behind those who live with regrets and remorse. News given by you or someone else remains news. It is the task of whoever explains it to give it the importance it deserves. You made me study maps, diagrams, roads, mileages. You took me in and out of the mine. You detailed every nook and cranny. Together with the community, we came up with hypotheses and details. M's scattered everywhere. Thanks, Warlike Raf. Seriously, grazie. Oh, is that a good Italian accent there? And don't worry about them, but look and pass. Non ti cura di loro, me guarda e passa. I think I was going a bit Spanish there. Mamma mia, what is going on? Siete Dante Allegri. Alexia, welcome to the channel. Now, if you didn't know Alexia, I can do about 15 to 16 different accents. It can get a bit random at times, okay? Just wanted to give you a heads up in case you wonder why I'm suddenly talking in a different accent. It can happen, okay? But it's good that Alexia has been influenced in a positive way when it comes to some of my videos, in which it's led to her doing her own investigations or just looking into things in general, right? It can help, right? You know, someone could come into this case, be influenced with certain investigative methods, and then apply it to cases they're interested in. And it could have a knock-on effect in which they find something, the truth of a different case, and it could help there. So all kinds of possibilities. Nancy says, I like seeing channel data. Most other channels only talk about it when they're reaching a milestone. You do it on a regular basis, which is great. I live in Ontario, Canada, and consider England part of Great Britain, so I think you as British too. Okay. So that's good to see, Nancy. Seem like a good individual. I don't know, do I do a poll right now? I don't know if to do a poll here. I might do a poll on my channel page. I could do 2 polls, maybe. We'll see. The poll can be wherever I do it. The question, are people okay with channel data being posted here and there? So like milestones, but also just a reference to views within the last 28 days. You know, are you fine with it? Or do you find it unnecessary and annoying? Let me know, because I'll take that into mind down the line. As a heads up as to why I've done post here and there in recent time is because of getting close to a milestone. So I thought, why not? And times before that, I have done it when I've noticed a boost or a rise in activity on my channel, and I just wanted to share it so other people are aware. So then it also shows that the case is doing well and new people are coming in. So regular viewers that might think not new people are coming into the chat, they are watching in the background, and statistically it shows in general. And also it serves as a good time to give a shout out here and there, right? So I'm glad Nancy approves of it. June says, oh, here we go. The very first time I read what the ex-girlfriend of Kenny's was putting out, I felt she was lying. What kind of person goes online and tells everyone such personal information? Guess maybe that's why she was an ex. And I read that she said this and she said that as if it was a fact. It's even more frightening how law enforcement took her words as complete truth. Did they ask to see her phone, to see her communication between her and Kenny the days before? I'd have loved for her to say that Kenny always carried a peanut butter and jelly sandwich under his hat. Also, her tears will not hard to fake and mean nothing unless she's crying for trying to ruin Kenny's reputation. Response-wise, Susan says, law enforcement should have taken all of Kenny's tech devices, laptop and camera, etc., and had them analysed. Cell phone has never been analysed from what I was told. And June says, exactly right. That would be a basic part of the investigation, but yet, no, just took her words as fact. Missing out on key evidence, missing out on purpose, does sound dodgy. What June says there, some fair points mentioned. Lightbulb says, as someone on the inside end of Kenny's case with full knowledge of this case, who has looked through on Chuck's channel as well, this community is getting selfish and tearing each other apart. We should be combining our power to get Kenny faster. Instead, we're calling each other liars and tearing the community into 2. Well, do you know what? I appreciate your comment because I can add on with a discussion once we get through the rest of these comments and I'll put things into perspective. And lastly, Tom says, have you ever found out if he had life insurance and has it been declared? As for the life insurance part, not quite sure. As for has it been declared, has it been cashed in that sense? Well, in the Kenny Veach official documentary, they said it hasn't been cashed in yet, right? But Susan does believe that life insurance does play a role in the case. Jeff Clark doesn't at all. I mean, unless money somehow is being made in other ways in the background, it's one of those like balancing acts, okay? Of course, there's other motives and factors which can play a role, and we've talked about it here and there. But what we should focus on for now is this comment by Lightbulb Guys of the community tearing itself apart, the Kenny Veach community becoming selfish, and calling each other liars. So first of all, how would one describe the Kenny Veach community? Is it really that bad? Not quite. I'd say that the Dylan Rounds community was more nasty compared to the Kenny Veach one because it did lead to people being called up, harassed in many different ways, family members brought in, whatever, tracked down, people losing their jobs through the community, real life jobs. It was a bit weird. Weird. What about Kenny Veach? What's the worst that's happened there? Well, you've had impersonation accounts, you had misinformation, you had defamation, some copyright here and there too, false claims made. Still very serious. Not as bad as the Dylan Rounds one, where people were accusing people of being traffickers and doing inappropriate stuff to younger people when there was no proof of it. That is definitely more damaging over there compared to the Kenny Veach case of someone's falsely accused of being a liar, okay, or falsely accused of not caring about a case and they're doing it for other reasons. That's still serious as well because it can all damage credibility, but there's different levels to things, right? I guess this is more so in recent time with what Lightbulb has been talking about. Maybe it ties in line with Jay Chuck and his recent post back and forth in response to Jeff Clark, in response to Atari's response back, my response in between, right? Been a bit back and forth, quite active recently. It's not always like this, okay? It can happen in waves. Before people roll their eyes back and think, oh no, got away from the Dylan Rounds case and here we are now with this all over again. This is different, okay? It's not as nasty here. It can still be messy though, right? And I guess it depends when it comes to the community. Are we talking about people in the community tearing each other apart and those people all care about the case? Or are we talking about those that cause damage and disruption to the case, those who don't really care about the case and are here just to cause trouble? Because I'd say there's two different communities within one, okay? I think in recent time, the Lightbulb is referring to the ones directly involved in the case, the key names, the key characters, and there's friction, there's disagreements at times, misunderstandings possibly, not quite being on the same wavelength, frustration being built, some long-standing grudges possibly with one another, right? Okay, let's just focus on that. It's not as nasty, that part. A bit of name calling, oh, you're an idiot, man, you need locking up, you know? You look at Jay Silverheels, best example to give. If Jay Silverheels insults you, if he calls you a snake, if he calls you a horse, a donkey, if he says you're an idiot, if he says you should be locked up in a straitjacket, it's nothing that bad, okay? Just don't take him seriously. Even he messes about at times, okay? Does he genuinely mean it sometimes? I don't know, but it's okay, right? I don't know if anyone is aware, and I don't know if I've got it with me. Well, I do. Do I have the original one? No, I don't. So, you remember this, okay? People wondering where it came from, implemented in the Dylan Rounds community. Will it be implemented in the Kenny Veach case too? Shh, don't get ahead of yourself. Calm it down. But the origins of this, in case anybody out there is wondering, how did Warlight Raph go from bed boy detective to whipper boy, okay? 50 Shades of Raph. How did it get to this point? Well, it was more of a joke situation where Jay Silverheels had a go at me because I gave out misinformation, but I didn't. He said that I made a mistake, but I didn't really, okay? But at the time, Jay Silverheels was criticising me, not in a nasty way, it was okay, but he said that I should whip myself for the mess that I made on my video, okay? Because I messed up in my video supposedly at the time, I should be punished, I should be whipped. Now, Jay Silverheels didn't actually mean it literally, but I took it aboard myself and I whipped myself for 10 minutes long. I actually got carried away because time passed by very quickly. I don't know why. Sounds dodgy. But do you understand how it first was introduced? For a bit of drama, conflict in the case, but not in a nasty way. A light-hearted response. Jay Silverheels got more than what he bargained for because he was not expecting me to pull out a whip and actually whip myself. It's the same with when a random viewer came onto my channel and said that I've got a sad, pathetic life, I've got too much time on my hands because of all these videos that I make, etc., etc. The next video that I did in response, I sellotaped 2 massive clocks to my hand. Not Glocks, not a firearm, but clocks. Tick tock, tick tock. 2 of them glued, well not glued, sellotaped to my hands. Okay, light-hearted response. The sense of humour in the Kenny Veach case could be considered a bit dry at times or hard to see, but it's still there. It's a bit more relaxed compared to Dylan Rounds. It's not as nasty, okay? Name calling, disagreements, not the end of the world, okay? But does it ultimately lead to the case being impacted? In a way, I could see that from the light bulb. Does it prevent progress from being made when people are at each other's necks? Yeah, kind of. If everybody was all in line with one another and got on well, more people at hand, investigating, in sync, more consistent, more people focused, more coverage, more success, maybe. No guarantee though. And there have been times where everybody's all been working together, right? Did it lead to much? Well, I can't remember exactly, but you know, whether everybody's all on it at once or not, if there's always at least somebody there in the background, at least covering the case still, that's all that should matter, okay? Because what we're seeing from the Dylan Rounds case and community, yeah, it's okay having many characters and many people investigating it. Oh, does that mean that it'll guarantee success in finding the truth quicker? No. The more people that work on the case, the higher the chances of disagreements, conflict and drama, which then inevitably slow down the progress of a case and can cause things to go backwards and for the worse. That happened in Dylan Rounds' case. Nowadays, I'm the only one really that covers the case, so there's not as much trouble, okay? All the others have moved on or come and go every now and then, so it's a bit better there. The Kenny Veach case, a range of different people can work on it and it has gone well, but even if it came to the point where there was only one person actively making videos on the case on a regular basis, that still would be more than enough. And for a certain length of time, SB Vega's Adventures carried the Kenny Veach case when I was doing Dylan Rounds. SB going out there, recording, hiking multiple times, very good of him. Jeff Clark constantly sharing videos and leaving comments and questioning stuff as a commentator, a viewer, good of him, right? And so on and so on. Even when you reduce to a one-man, two-man job, things can still be done and there can still be levels of success. And yes, if you do have multiple people working together, that can go well. But there's also more risk of it going wrong when there are disagreements, and there will be when there's more people present, right? Higher risk, higher reward? Maybe. Is there any key people really disruptive or dark in this case, those that care? Not really. I mean, even Artari, although what she may have said here and there about me, which is kind of unfair, it's not really caused too much damage. Artari's moved on doing her own thing, fair enough. Still makes some references at times and it makes you think, is it necessary? J Chuck, on and off, but more recent. You got to understand, when it comes to J Chuck, maybe from an outsider perspective, you could look at his channel or look at his videos and think, what the fuck is going on here? Right? But it's not that bad, okay? I mean, some people might see it as entertaining, some people might see it as informative and educational, whatever it might be. I'd say, for most part of it, at least how J Chuck has presented himself in the case and community, he's been a good individual and respectful. Sometimes very strongly opinionated and very strong-minded. There could be some pros and cons. Do you know what? Maybe we can do that in a separate video. I mean, J Chuck does his discussion videos and goes to great depth and length. Maybe one day I can do a video similar, but about him, and just see what he thinks, whether he agrees or not. That doesn't matter. But I think that'd be a good idea. J Chuck does take on board advice as well. You tell him to do a creepy voice. He puts on a creepy voice for the future video, such as Halloween. That was good to see. You tell J Chuck to document more of the hike instead of 5 seconds with. He does that. That's good. Taking on advice. You're not forced to, but he takes it into consideration and it leads to a greater positive, more footage. right? I'll just put the belt back down now because it seems weird holding it in my hand while I'm talking. But I don't think it's that bad. I've not seen too much commotion, unless it's been on other channels, in the comments, videos, like what the light bulb guy was referring to. If it's still going on now, if anyone wants to give context as to what started it or where it's coming from, where it's at now, just leave a comment down below and I'll have a look into it. And if I need to try and clear things up, I'll do so. But if there can be at least one person that's somewhat level-headed, or an individual that can demonstrate a bit of balance on both sides, should be more than enough. That's more than enough in any case or community out there. One individual that can see it from both sides, or multiple if possible, like a one-man army. Does it make things more difficult? Maybe. Does it create more pressure? Possibly. But if you can have one person covering all fronts and angles, that's just as good as if you had 6 people designated to different zones working on something. That's what I would say, at least. Hopefully that clears certain areas up there. I do genuinely think that this video, what I've done today, has opened up 2 to 3 new video ideas, possibly. I might have to rewatch this video to remind myself what those ideas were. But this is the good thing. A video can help, and even if it doesn't, it can help indirectly at a later point. And I think this video has done both today. That news article, take in mind, if you have joined late to this live premiere, I do advise you to rewind back to the start. Very important there, okay, and catch up. And in the second part of this video, the comments and discussions, still active to this day. In general, shout out to people in the Kenny Veach community after all this time for patience, as well as still being able to talk about stuff in the comment section. Because understandably, the longer a case goes on for, the harder it might get to talk about things. But with this case at least, it's still ongoing, right? Still talk, still coverage, it's still alive, right? So we'll see what happens next. This was a video on the spot, I'll be honest with you. There are some ideas that can be covered, but let's just get a certain order. Jeff Clark, I'm aware, you know, your hike, your experience, timing, those issues, those strange occurrences, that can be acknowledged, but I guess that's a very specific, important, focused video. I'd like to be in the correct headspace to do that. I like to reach a checkpoint where I've got all the other bits and bobs out the way, and then I can focus on that if possible, okay? Take in mind other people with certain ideas of videos. I can't do it all at once, right? I try and do it bit by bit. I'll eventually get there. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, you found it interesting. If you wish to, feel free to like and share this video. Click on the thumbs up, try and get the word out there, spread the awareness of the case and these recent findings, and we'll see what happens next. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye. Good night.